Sri Aurobindo Society, Bangalore, JP Nagar Center, Oro Youth Wing, in collaboration with Bharat Shakti, Sri Aurobindo Society, Pondicherry, warmly welcomes all of you all here to a wonderful session on conscious conception, aspiring for a brighter future. An interactive talk on planning for progency consciously by Miss Vijayalakshmi Vijay and Miss Chitra Kolluru. This program is live today on our Zoom link already sent to you all and can also be viewed on our YouTube channel, Aura of Consciousness. Before we move ahead with the program, a brief description of the regular activities conducted here. Regular yoga classes, meditation, talks, exhibitions, publication of Kannada books on Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, a beautiful meditation hall with Sri Aurobindo's sacred relics, a fully affiliated CBSE school, Mirambika School for New Age from nursery to 10th standard, or a youth wing which regularly conducts talks, programs, outings, workshops, book section with Sri Aurobindo Ashram products, Perfect Sight and Alternative Therapy Clinic is also functional here. Now to the new things. Our new school, the Oro School on Kanakpura Road, there the Samatva Academy has recently started from June 2026 onwards with teacher training sessions in integral education. 5 Dimensions of True Education, a book published by our Mirambika School chairman, Dr. Ajit Sabnis, recently released, is a boon for every educational practitioner. Sri Aurobindo Society State Committee, Karnataka, with around 33 Sri Aurobindo Society branches centers in Karnataka, is also housed here. To know more about us, please visit our website, sriaurobindocomplex.org. Now we move to our speakers. A short introduction of our keynote speakers today. Miss Vijayalakshmi Vijay, Vijay. Vijay is a mother of 2 boys, 19 and 13, both conceived consciously. She lived her pre-pregnancy and pregnancy stages based on the tenets of conscious conception as shared by the Divine Mother. She has been on the path of Sri Aurobindo studies since the age of 13 and more active in the last 6 years. She comes with 20 plus years of corporate experience and is able to follow conscious living amidst corporate life. Our next keynote speaker, Ms. Chitra Kolluru. Chitra is a facilitator and a contributing author to the Renaissance Journal of Bharat Shakti of Sri Aurobindo Society. She is a 3rd generation follower on the path. She is closely involved in the reading of Life Divine with help from Sri Ananda Reddy Ji's recordings from Sakar, and a student of Sanskrit with Vladimir Yatsenko, Director, La Grace Center. With these few words, I hand over the session to our keynote speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishali ji. I'm going to try and share my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen on screen share, full screen.
Yeah, it's in presentation mode, yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, great. So, namaste once again, everyone. So, I'm Chitra Kolluru. So, along with my friend Vijay, let me once again welcome all of you and thank you so much for taking the time out today. So, together we're trying to expand on this topic, aspiring for a bright future, planning for progeny consciously. We're not, conscious conception, in short, is the topic that we are going to speak about. And the mother has said this is really the first step to conscious parenting. We're not trying to preach how to be parents, because whoever or however you are, you're the best bet that your child could have. And more so, we all try to be better versions of ourselves for the sake of our children. And therein lies the seed to conscious parenting. What Vijay and I are trying to do today is to bring a drop each of our experience as moms and add to that the light of the mother. So we're going to share with you from Vijay's experiences and from our readings on what the mother and Sri Aurobindo have said about living more consciously in general and more specifically on conceiving consciously. So with that context, let's move to the agenda. Today, over the next 45 to 50 minutes, we want to cover what is aspiring for a bright future. What we are trying to do is to set the context for a wider thinking, because it is only then that we will be able to appreciate something like conceiving consciously, something that most of us, as we get into adulthood and independent economic life, the next stage for us is to expand our family, and we take to it either vitally or mentally at best. But here is another approach that we are introducing today. And in order to ready ourselves to understand this, we want to cover a few things on what it means to aspire for a bright future. We want to unpack this topic for you and see what each of these words mean. Every kind of creation, not just conceiving a child, conceiving anything, demands conscious action, and we are going to see why and how. And we're going to briefly explore the family unit, which is important for the nurturing and caring of a new life. Post that, Vichy is going to take up why conception has to be conscious in the first place. We will learn from what the mother has to say on the topic, and then move to what, in essence, is conscious conception and the impact it can have when done as a triple labor of aspiration, rejection, and surrender. You will see some ancient time showing instruments on the right. I thought this was very relevant when we are talking about an agenda, because we want to respect your time and we want to tell you over the next 50 minutes how we're going to try and spend time with you and what is the journey we're going to take you through. So the Sankhu Yantra and the Ghatika Yantra, which are very ancient time instruments from the Indian tradition, is what this slide shows. All right, with this context, let's move on. Very simply, when we say aspiring for a brighter future, and like a normal digital person would do, if we go to the internet and see what does it even mean for the 25 to 35 year olds, let's say, who's, in a sense could be our target audience. Can we mute if you're not talking, please? Thank you. So clearly what the topic throws up is, okay, young people would look for economic independence. It's a digital world. So we certainly want to be on top of our digital skills. We want to have a digital leadership in all we do. Our careers should be skill driven, which means there should be value to what we bring to our jobs and our workplaces, the AI onslaught notwithstanding. And we should have a wholesome living, something sustainable for Mother Earth, right? So this is as holistic as it can get. And if we unpack or unpeel this a little more, then there are material aspects, not just physical, financial, but also, something that we need to grow materially, we need to own, possess, we need secure lives, not just physical security, but financial security. We need happy relationships and a great quality of life vis-a-vis global standards. Now, all of this is very important. But this is our outer life. Sri Aurobindo has told us that in essence, we are subjective beings. We live from the inside. So unless we are peaceful inside, unless we are balanced, unless we have a sense of purpose which drives us from the inside, we will not be able to enjoy our outer life. So, looking at it holistically, then, what is aspiration and how widely can we aspire? See, aspiration, says Sri Aurobindo, is a call of the being to something that is higher, more powerful. It can be our Ishta Devata, it can be the mother in Sri Aurobindo for most of us, but it is a call of the being to something more powerful, something that is all knowing and all potent. And aspiration, in essence, is for us to be better versions of ourselves, for sure. However, when we actually sit down to aspire as individuals, you will observe that our outlook, when we think or when we imagine what we want to be, what we want to make our lives, our thought is very narrow. And I'm not talking about humanity as a race. There we have really taken leaps and bounds. We've gone beyond our galaxies, and we are kind of trying to predict well in advance for the next millennium, world occurrences, etc. But individually, when we are with ourselves, how widely can we aspire? We all know that our lives are defined by space and time, and most of us are accosted by this question: where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Haven't we? We've come across this in our work lives, and honestly, most of us have no clue, because we feel we don't control our lives. We are helpless. The organizations that ask us that question seldom give us the next role based on what we want to do or where we want to be. So the question seems a little vague, and we still go ahead and make intelligent answers out of it, don't we? But now let's take a step back. Why just 3 years? Are we able to think 3 decades ahead in our life? And even if we can't control all of the outer circumstances, are we very clear how our inner growth is going to chart out over the next 3 decades? Can we actually think, as we plan our life and our family, are we going to sow the seeds for the next 3 generations? Can we do that? Again, in terms of the aspect we think of, ourselves and our space, is it always just about ourselves that we plan? Can we think wider? How about nation? About humanity? About the earth? Let's move to the next slide. That said, let's look at the other part of the topic today. How bright is our aspiration for the future? I was tempted to take a poll here to see what each of you thinks a bright future could be, but then, let's not go with popular opinion, and let's instead look at our ancient scriptures on what could be the meanings of a bright future. The Rig Veda, it is said, has as many as 30 to 40 words to signify light, aspects or attributes of it, like, say, bright, dazzle, shine, etc. Let's take an example. When I say Jyoti and when I say Prakash, how many of you feel these are two completely different words meaning different things? For us, they are synonymous, isn't it? But in a sense, Jyoti means the light that is emitted from the sun and the stars, and it imbues a power that of its own. Prakash, on the other hand, with the prefix pra, is all about moving forward, creating the mental clarity so that we can take a step forward. Now, you see how different these are? The reason I'm talking about this is because language is a means of expression for all of us. With moving time and as our lives are catching up pace, our own individual thought seems to be quite content with far lesser words, far lesser thoughts to express ourselves, a far smaller horizon in which we are able to think, imagine, plan ahead. So this is something that we might want to give some thought to in terms of trying to widen ourselves. The mother has said, become vast when you are, when you are on the path of yoga. See if we can become vast, because as we think, so we act. If we become vast in our thought, then we will not be narrow minded in our action, and we will start to take each action we perform with importance. Let's again go back to our collective humanity. What would we aspire for as a human consciousness? Capacity to dream and aspire in the first place, capacity to create and manifest. That's what gives us the energy, all our energy, all our knowledge, so that we can go create, make something that we now know of. Capacity to educate, to pass on our knowledge, to enable someone else, to empower, to engender further progress, isn't it? That's what humanity, gleans purpose from. And so I ask today, can our dreams span beyond our own individual life and our lifespan? If we look at the Vedic times again, the rishis, hymns and prayers conveyed the birthing of gods within humans. What does that mean? To call down the godly powers. It was not out of helplessness alone that we prayed to the gods. We prayed to become powerful, to become an embodiment of the Shakti that we invoke, we adore, because we want to be like her, we want to be her children, right? So today, that's what we must invoke. Rishi Vashishta writes, make of us the Aditis, make of us the Aditis and Adityas. Look at how lofty that prayer is. We are children and descendants of those rishis, and therefore our dreams cannot be puny. What then are our dreams made of? Like I said, something certainly bigger and better than ourselves, right? When we were little kids, do you remember how we used to dream? Our dreams would be limitless, free, unabashed, uncontrollable. We would dream of anything. We could do anything. We could reach the stars. We could pluck the moon, right? If we can hold on to some of those dreams in earnest, in their essence, then as we grow up, dreams give shape to life goals. Life goals give purpose to our life, right? And we set out on the path to achieve some of them, to make them a reality. Goals are then guided and bounded by our values. Our values are, in essence, what we are made up of, just as a self, the soul that we are.
ಜೆರಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬ 2 ಕಾಪಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ
Vaishali, could you mute some of the people? All right, thank you. So it's the values that provide guidance and bound at the same time our life goals, so that we don't go berserk, we don't go out of control, that we are bounded, that we are conscious of our action as we chase our dreams and our goals, right? So, and our dreams, they don't need to be limited to just who we are or just this lifetime. I'm reminded of the 3 steps of Vishnu that Sri Aurobindo so beautifully spoke about, referencing the Vamana avatar. As children, we are born into a family, and then we start identifying ourselves with the family. As we grow, we start to belong to larger communities, a school, a community, a workplace, something that our values drive us towards, and we make friends in the world. That becomes our larger home. And our nation, if we start to connect with our nation, and our dreams have the nation's dreams as a part of it. And how about the larger humanity? We're all children of the mother and Sri Aurobindo. And when I speak about, taking ourself and identifying ourself with a larger collective, I don't mean magnifying our ego, right? What it means is merging our ego and working for that larger collective so it grows and prospers. When we offer our work in such a way, our capacities and our work and ourselves to this collective, then we live a greater life, a greater purpose. All creation demands conscious conception. See, we're all in a sense the descendants of Manu. Manu, the thinker, the creator, the progenitor, the lawgiver, right? That's why man. Manu, because the predominant instrument in us is the manas, the one that thinks. But the manas, the mind in us, is a representative, a symbol of the larger mind principle. What is the mind principle all about? It's all about ingathering our energies and focusing it on one thing that we want to work upon. The one thing, the one person, the one situation, the one scenario. We have the capability to indraw our energies and bring it to attention. And therein, whatever we can conceive with that focus, with that attention, by getting rid of the distortions, whether it's a plan, an idea that we are working on, a strategy at the workplace, or our larger life itself, then begins to take meaning. And then there is a beautiful outcome. Intention, focus, conscious energy. These are the oblations that we need to put into the work we do if we really aim for a beautiful outcome. All right. So, all I have shared, I'd like you to hold as we get into the topic of conscious conception that Vijay is going to take up in a little while. But in a minute, I'd like to cover on the family concept. We all know that the concept of a family is changing, isn't it? We used to live in joint families. There is a larger nuclearization. It's becoming smaller. There are other things happening. The youth and the women are actually gaining prominence and their voice within the family unit. Earlier, it might not have been so, right? Marriage, career, autonomy are gaining prominence and finding their space, and forcing the family to adjust, accommodate in the process, right? Also, families are not so much limited only to blood relations. It's also about common ideology, the common work that brings us together. There are families that are formed there as well, right? Um, we want to recognize and identify this changing concept of family. And we also want to see what the mother and Sri Aurobindo say about it, because as we all know, they are our most futuristic gurus. Haven't seen anyone like them, right? So we will learn what they have to say. But at the same time, we also want to anchor ourselves on the traditional concept of a family. The family is a first type of human unity. It is a preparation for wider unities. The nation is a larger family. Humanity itself is the largest, says Sri Aurobindo. The mother says the ordinary family is a small egoism, just like an individual. The true family is the family of the children of the divine, those who want to live in his consciousness. She goes on to say, when you have found one or more people who are in exactly the same state of mind and have the same aspiration, quite naturally there will be created bonds of closeness, intimacy, friendship, and among you, you will form a kind of brotherhood. That is to say, a true family. We humbly bow and recognize to these new and evolving definitions that the Mother and Sri Aurobindo have told us about family. But in talking about today's topic, we still anchor ourselves on that traditional concept of a man and a woman coming together in love and togetherness and creating that safe space and home to give birth to a new life. And that is traditional family unit that we're still talking about today. Okay, with that context, I would now like to hand it over to Vijay.
Thank you, Chitra, for setting a concrete launchpad to launch the conscious consumption. Every one of us dream of a bright future for ourselves, for our families, and for the world. But a bright future does not happen by chance. It begins with a sincere aspiration and conscious choices. Our thoughts, actions, and the values we live by today become the foundation for tomorrow. So, the family is the first place where this future is shaped and where new life is welcomed. We all know every great story has a beginning. So does all our life. So, every human life begins with conception. It is more than just a biological event. It marks the start of a unique journey. From a single moment to an entire lifetime begins to unfold with endless possibilities for growth, learning, and experience. This leads to an important question. If conception is the beginning of our life, how should we approach it? So, when we look at these approaches, we can see that consumption can happen for different reasons. Sometimes it is accidental, sometimes it is mechanical, sometimes because of family pressure, social pressure, expectation, or simply because life unfolds that way. And that's the truth for many of us. Also, for many of us, however, consumption is a deliberate choice. We plan for consumption with the same thought and care and planning what we give to our important life decisions like choosing a course, building a career, buying a home, or getting married. These days, getting married plan though is the biggest plan in our life. All Mehendi, Sangeet, Bharat, so much we plan. Many of us prepare financially for a child. We think about healthcare, education, savings, future opportunities. Some people look for a home near to the favorite school before conceiving. Definitely, these things are important. But integral yoga asks us to prepare for something even more important. That is our consciousness. This naturally leads us to an important question. Can the conception of a child also be a conscious and purposeful act? So let us start with a story. Okay, story written by the mother. The mother shares this interesting incident, a real life incident, in her words of long ago in volume 2 to show the power of a mother's thought during pregnancy. Our mother met two girls who were twins. They were exceptionally beautiful. What surprised the mother was they looked nothing like their parents. Instead, they reminded our mother of a very famous painting by the English artist Sir Joshua Reynolds. Curious, the mother mentioned to the twins' mother the same, and the twins' mother smiled and said, "You are absolutely right." She then explained what happened during her pregnancy. Above her bed, she had hung a beautiful reproduction of the Reynolds painting. Every morning when she woke up, this is the first thing she saw. Every night before going to sleep, it was the last thing she looked at. As she looked at the picture every day, she had a simple wish in her heart. May my children grow to be like the beautiful children in this painting. When her twins were born, they closely resembled the children in that picture. The mother says that mother had every reason to feel happy about this. She also says that this experience is valuable because it shows the influence that a mother's steady thoughts and aspiration can have during pregnancy. She then adds an important point. If a mother, I mean a biological mother, if a mother's thought can have such an influence even on the physical appearance of a child, where change is the least flexible, then their influence can be even greater in shaping the child's psychological qualities and character. So now we will see what mother has said on conception. See, whatever we are going to discuss, it is not a separate philosophy. It is simply integral yoga applied to marriage, parenthood, and the arrival of child. The mother's writing will make this very clear for us. In all her writings, the mother shifts our understanding of motherhood. For her, motherhood does not begin at birth, but much earlier, with conscious preparation and aspiration. Let's look at mother's writing. True maternity begins with the conscious creation of a being, with the will shaping of a soul, coming to develop and utilize a new body. The true domain of women is the spiritual. We forget it but too often. The education of a human being should begin at birth and continue throughout its life. Indeed, if we want this education to have its maximum result, it should begin even before birth. She also adds, in this case, it is the mother herself who proceeds with this education by means of a twofold action. First, upon herself for her own improvement, and secondly, upon the child whom she is forming physically. Even before a child is born, the mother can begin educating her child through her attitude and her thoughts. For it is certain that the nature of the child to be born depends very much upon the mother who forms it, upon her aspiration and will. Mother always gives the importance for the aspiration and the will of the mother. See, she also adds that if a mother has a conscious and definite will to form the child according to the highest ideal she can conceive, then the very best condition will be realized so that the child can come into the world with utmost potentialities. This takes us to, why should conception be conscious? As Chitra said, when we do certain things consciously, when we surrender the work and we do consciously by bringing into mother, we will know how beautiful the results are. An unknown hand always helps us. So, the physical act is the start of a new life. What may seem a simple physical act that has the power to begin a whole human life. An infant step in moving above impulse and passion to an intentional future. See, small conscious choice today can shape a better future, not only for the child, but for the family and the society. Choosing consumption consciously is one small but meaningful step from acting on impulse to awareness. See, we all know the child receive our genes. The child also receive much more than the genes. The child also receive the family atmosphere, the values, the examples, the vibration, the inner condition. Conscious consumption gives us an opportunity to break all the unhealthy cycles. Instead of passing down fear, we can pass down trust. Instead of passing down confusion, we can pass down clarity. Instead of passing down stress, we can pass down balance. As nature prepares the body, we must collaborate. See, eggs and sperm are not developed in the body on the day of conception. We all know the ovarian cycle and the sperm cycle. So when our body is doing so much to get ready for the conception, month on month, should we not also prepare ourselves to welcome this miracle? In the same way, both the partners can consciously prepare their emotions, thoughts, relationships, and the home environment before we welcome a child. We all know this story from Mahabharata. As Krishna has shown through Abhimanyu, education and influence begins before birth. The atmosphere, thoughts, emotion, and experience during pregnancy can leave a lasting impact on the child. And coming to our own, if all life is yoga, Sri Aurobindo says all life is yoga. If all life is yoga, bringing a new life should be done as a yoga too. Yes, if every part of life can become a path of growth, then beginning a new life into the world can be the most unique, meaningful and conscious as we perform. See, in integral yoga, spirituality is not separate from daily life. So, conception, pregnancy, parenting, family life, everything become part of our spiritual practice and sadhana. It is a laboratory. So, if our most passionate act can be conscious, can it birth a conscious world? Sri Aurobindo says that man is a transitional being. Human consciousness is still evolving, and we all have the potential to contribute to a more conscious future. In that light, a child is welcomed not merely as a new member of the family, but as a part of the humanity's ongoing evolution with a deeper purpose. So, a soul's journey can begin with creating the right seed and space. This beginning of the child's journey is shaped not only by biology, but also by the consciousness, aspiration, and the love with which the child is welcomed by the couple. positive consciousness, positive home, positive vibration for the family. See, preparing ourselves inwardly is the first step in preparing for the child. A home filled with peace, love, harmony provides a nurturing environment before birth. The baby grows not only in the mother's body, but also in the atmosphere around it. That peaceful and positive atmosphere becomes the child's very first environment. For those who follow integral yoga, this is also an act of trust. We believe our mother's word. We believe that mother's guidance can help us bring a greater awareness, love, and purpose into this important stage of life. We'll also see some more quotations from the mother. This will give us a greater understanding. The state of consciousness in which the parents are at the moment of conception gives a sort of stamp to the child, which it will reflect throughout its life. She clears everything in this one line. The state of consciousness in which the parents are at the moment of conception. So every moment is important. The ancient Greeks created the exceptionally harmonious race that they were. The mother gives us the example of the ancient Greeks. She says they consciously cultivated harmony and higher ideals, and these qualities became reflected in their civilization. And she then asks us the next profound question. Why should we simply accept the limitations of heredity? This word of mother is a great boon for all of us. Why accept the obscure bonds of heredity and atavism, which are nothing else than subconscious preferences for our own trend of character, when we can, by our concentration and will, call into being a type constructed according to the highest ideal we are able to conceive. See, mother takes us one step further. She says that for the highest creation, conception should not be driven only by desire or impulse. It should arise from a higher aspiration with awareness and self-mastery. The necessity of desirelessness. For the highest creation to be possible, conception must take place entirely outside of desire. See, with this effort, maternity becomes truly precious and sacred. Indeed, with this, we enter the glorious work of the spirit. Mother says, womanhood rise above animality and its ordinary instinct towards real humanity and its power. She also says, many of us, we may fear, is it possible for me? Can I do it? Mother says, to bear a child and construct his body almost subconsciously is not enough. The work really commences when by the power of thought and will, we conceive and create a character capable of manifesting an ideal. And do not say that we have no power for realizing such a thing. Innumerable instances of this very effective power could be brought out of as proofs. So this changes conception from purely a physical act into a conscious spiritual act. All of this naturally changes the way we look at the child. The child is a soul with its own journey. Parents are not owners. We are just custodians who guide and support their journey. Mother always reminds us, to love truly is not to possess. This one idea of hers captures our approach to marriage, parenthood, and all human relationships. To love truly is not to possess. This brings us to an important question and our topic of the day. What exactly do we mean by conscious conception? See, conscious conception is bringing a child into the world with full awareness, full intention, and preparation, rather than a mechanical or an incidental outcome of life. The word conscious simply means being aware. In conscious conception, conscious of what? We can understand consciousness here at two levels. The first being conscious of ourselves. We should remain inwardly aware during the act, not being carried away by our thoughts, impulses, desire, or lust. Remember why we are conceiving and what we seek to bring into the world. Just this awareness changes the nature of the act. It is no longer a physical act, it becomes an intentional and meaningful act. I would rather say it will become an offering to the mother. The second level is being conscious of the divine presence. See, the physical act may be by human. Two couples with love and clarity plan and involve. That is human. But the purpose is much greater. It is divine. We are welcoming a soul into this world. This is a sacred art of creation. It calls for humility. Why do we invite the divine into this process? Because this is divine's work. It is the mother's work for the future of humanity. We may plan for a child. Physical act may be ours, but the child is never ours to create by our own power. Do we have a power to create? The granting of new life, the soul that comes, the timing, the deeper purpose behind that birth, all belong to the divine. That is why this is mother's work. We are not the creators. We are only the instruments through whom her work is carried out. This understanding shifts the emphasis from we are creating a conscious child to we are consciously participating in the mother's work. It is not we are creating a conscious child. It is we are consciously participating in the mother's work. Our responsibility is to prepare ourselves with sincerity, aspiration, and humility so that we may become the receptive instruments of her grace, and offer the best possible condition for the soul that chooses to come. This is why we pray. This is why we involve the divine. We pray for a healthy child and a safe pregnancy. We pray for the wisdom and strength to raise the child well. Above all, we pray that we may remain worthy instruments in the mother's work, trusting her grace to guide every step in this journey and fulfill her purpose through us. This understanding definitely changes how we look at pregnancy. It becomes a journey not of the body, but of the mind, emotion, soul, a journey from womanhood to motherhood, and equally from manhood to fatherhood. Like we already discussed, just as the body prepares for conception month on month, we too can, as a couple, prepare ourselves inwardly. Can we prepare our thoughts? Can we prepare our emotions? Can we prepare our relationships? Can we prepare the atmosphere into which the child will come? The mother explained that the mother's thought and feelings and the inner state influence the child even before birth. So conscious conception begins even before pregnancy. It begins with our self-preparation. It asks us questions like, can we be more peaceful before asking the child to be peaceful? Can we be more truthful before teaching truth? Can we cultivate harmony before bringing a child into the home? Can we become better instrument for the soul that chooses to come? Literally we pray, oh soul, choose us as your parents. We will serve. We will do the Divine Mother's work. That is why conscious conception is not about perfection. It is about sincerity. Yes, we are all not perfect. We can't change our nature in a single day, but every small infant step what we take, Mother guides us. It is about sincerity. It is not about producing an extraordinary child. No, it is about becoming conscious parents. It becomes an aspiration. It becomes a prayer. It becomes a conscious offering. So conscious conception is not about controlling the future. It is about consciously preparing ourselves and inviting the divine to participate in this beautiful journey, because it is not by chance, it is by conscious choice. not by anxiety, but by our sincere aspiration, not by perfection, but by sincerity. So, in summary, what is conscious conception? A child must be wanted, the child must be prayed for, a child is lovingly invited. Conscious conception becomes a prayer rather than a mechanical act. A luminous future begins with conscious parents. Our role is not to guarantee outcomes, but to prepare ourselves as worthy instrument. The rest belongs to the Divine Mother and to her grace. A conscious couple does not simply say we want a baby. They begin to feel, may we become worthy to receive and nurture the child who come to us. That simple shift changes everything. So far, what we have looked at is conscious conception as a personal journey. But someone can ask, we are just one family. Can our effort really make any difference? Can our effort make difference to our family or to the nation or to humanity? Integral yoga gives us a very hopeful answer. Yes. Every great change in society begins somewhere. It begins with one person, one family, one conscious choice. A family influences its children. Those children influence their friends, their workplace, and their communities. Slowly, the ripple effect spread through the society. It is not new to our society. For this Indian land, this is not new at all. Our own tradition gives us many aspiring examples. Great personalities like Prahalad, Abhimanyu, Ashtavakra, Chhatrapati Shivaji, Adi Shankaracharya, Swami Vivekananda. They did not appear by accident. Behind them were parents who carried deep aspiration, strong values, and a higher vision. Historical accounts of many great personalities correlate their traits and abilities directly to the sankalpa of their parents. The 17th century emperor and founder of Maratha Hindu Empire, Chhatrapati Shivaji's extraordinary display of heroism, righteousness, and aspiration for independence from oppressive Mughal rulers and the dream of establishing Swarajya are all manifestation of years of immense sankalpa and prayers of his visionary and pious mother Jijabai. Through constant prayer, couples repeatedly strengthen and affirm their sankalpa, their vision, and their commitment with sincerity and self-surrender. According to the biographies of Swami Vivekananda, his mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi prayed with deep devotion and spiritual aspiration for a son before his birth. So never think that we are just one family. Every conscious family becomes the beginning of a conscious society. The mother reminds us that parenthood carries a great responsibility. Parents do not help only to build the child's body, they also help create the atmosphere in which the child's consciousness grows. As a family that lives with truth, self-control, compassion, and service become a positive influence on everyone around them. Integral yoga teaches that no sincere effort is wasted. Every conscious step we take contribute in its own way to the progress of humanity. So, our question is not, can one family make a difference? The real question is, how can we become that conscious family? How? This brings us to the 3 practical principles of integral yoga. As we come to the end of this session, with whatever we have heard till now, we can see this conscious conception is deeply rooted in the basic principles of integral yoga, the triple labor: aspiration, rejection, surrender. It begins with their aspiration, a sincere wish to grow inwardly before welcoming a child. and it continues with rejection, we make a conscious effort to reduce our fear, conflict, negativity, all our smallness, everything. We clear our negativity and we create a positive and peaceful home atmosphere. And finally, surrender. Doing our best with sincerity while trusting the divine in all that is beyond our control. This surrender is very important for us. Doing our best with sincerity while trusting the divine in all that is beyond our control. When these things come together, preparing a child becomes much more than physical preparation. It becomes a journey of preparing ourselves. Final reflection. We often ask, what kind of child do we want? Integral yoga invites us to ask a deeper question. What kind of consciousness do we want the child to receive through us? If integral yoga seeks the transformation of human nature, then conscious conception may be one of the earliest opportunities to begin the transformation, not only in ourselves, but in the atmosphere in which the next generation is born. See, we are not advocating this method. We are inviting people to look at parenthood through the lens of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, through the lens of integral yoga and human evolution, because even one generation that becomes more conscious can change the direction of the generations that follow. May I ask you all to relax yourself, close your eyes for a couple of minutes, please. Close your eyes. Imagine a soul wait outside your home. You may be a potential parent or a potential grandparent. That is okay. A soul wait outside your home. The soul is listening, watching, waiting. What atmosphere will it find? Arguments, stress, digital screens, or silence, mutual respect, aspiration, love, peace, harmony, joy, gratitude, flowers, music, beauty. Conscious conception does not begin with pregnancy. It begins the day we decide to become the human beings we hope our children will learn from. It begins the day we decide to become the human beings we hope our children will learn from. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. That was truly something for all of us to reflect on. I'd just like to close by saying that this is a first humble step that Vijay and I as a team have taken. She, in fact, has been working on this objective almost of her life for a few years now. And what we plan to do as a next step is to work with all the help and support we are getting from the Bangalore Sri Aurobindo Society, Bharat Shakti, Renaissance, etc., and come up with more material, but certainly plan towards a workshop, which hopefully we will be in a position to host in person. We obviously have to decide on the logistics, but we'd request all of you who's interested, for whom this topic is relevant, and who really want to explore conscious conception, to write to us at conceivewithawareness@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel is Conceive with Awareness. We plan to work closely with the director, Bharat Shakti, to contribute and share more of Mother's Light, content, resources, and Vijay's perspective on the upcoming issues of their monthly Renaissance journal. So please make sure you subscribe for it and you follow and you do check us out on Renaissance. More as we come back and discuss. But for now, we'd like to open it up for questions.